Good evening. Dr. Cordova extends her greetings. She is committed to a Board of Trustees meeting this evening. After 35 years of experience as a researcher and a product developer in pharmacology, medical devices, and related fields, Candice Kissinger decided she wanted a new challenge. So she changed her focus from filing patents, writing proposals, and doing peer reviews to young people in Indiana who will become the leaders of tomorrow. We appreciate, admire, and celebrate her choice. Woodrow Wilson Fellows are bringing extraordinary expertise and enthusiasm to some of our state's rural classrooms, and we thank them all for their dedication. I dare say that few Indiana students have teachers who hold patents in their scientific fields. Ladies and gentlemen, Candice Kissinger.
Well, thanks very much. When I sat down to consider what I might share during my remarks this evening, it had been exactly 90 days since I began my formal education in support of my quest to become a high school science teacher. Quest. It's an interesting choice of words. It brings to mind Don Quixote, that determined idealist who tilted his lance and charged at the windmills of iniquity and despair. At the beginning of Cervantes' novel, we learned that Don Quixote was born from the imagination of a retired country gentleman whose excessive reading and lack of sleep led him into this fantasy. As a graduate student at Purdue University this past summer, I also experienced the travails of a heavy load of reading and some sleep deprivation, as did fellow members of the 2010 Woodrow Wilson Indiana teaching cohort. Although I've not yet been fitted for a suit of medieval armor, I do have a better understanding of the particular windmills that I now face. While studying the evolution of educational psychology in the United States, I've noticed that the same problems now described for our schools were previously reported as far back as 105 years ago, when John Dewey was conducting his observations in Chicago. Calls for reform have appeared regularly during the past century, and massive efforts to develop standards have not always generated changes in curricula. Clearly, the pace of educational progress, as measured by improvements in student learning, is not rapid, but the need has not yet evaporated. Our 2010 Woodrow Wilson cohort began visiting rural schools in Indiana in late August, making observations in classrooms where our primary subjects were being taught. I encountered 9th grade biology students whom I met last year when I was their substitute teacher in middle school. Amazingly, they remembered me. And we've continued our conversations. They want to talk. They want to talk about biology and analytical chemistry and human health and pharmacology and entrepreneurship and a whole host of other topics, including themselves and their curiosity about science and technology. I want to listen, and I want to share my enthusiasm for all of those subjects. I have a habit of sitting down with a table full of students in the lunchroom when I visit a school. They're always a little surprised by this, especially when I express my interest in them and what they have to say. And they have plenty to say if they know you're really interested in listening to them. There are a lot of conversations going on right now about science education. Science Magazine, Nature Magazine, Chemical and Engineering News, among other publications, are printing articles on the subject at an almost unprecedented rate. Pundits, educators, political leaders, parents, and employers all have opinions that are being quoted and evaluated. Teachers too frequently seem to be punching bags, or at least punchlines in political cartoons. The students, they don't seem to have much of a voice. I think sometimes we underrate their opinion and we make decisions on their behalf. Sometimes we underestimate their capabilities. They are stakeholders too, probably the most important ones of all. I remain excited by the prospect of teaching and humbled by my initial forays into the practice of teaching. Like Don Quixote de la Mancha, I have an excess of both silver hairs and idealism. Thanks to the Woodrow Wilson Foundation and their partners in supporting me in this personal quest to bring my 35 years of scientific research experience into a rural Indiana high school. Thank you.